All right, we are live. This is day 102. If you guys want to see the full screen version, you go to youtube.com/@Kent_HE. Today we got a sub 2 deal. Let's go through this together. I just copied and pasted from Facebook. 3-bed, 2-bath, 1217 square feet, built in 2021. So actually pretty turnkey. Mortgage balance is 254,085, 3.625%, $441 principal. Interest is $767. Taxes and insurance is $695. So PITI is 1904. There's PMI, which means that there is a insurance policy on a mortgage for $175. That will probably continue to get paid. Rent rate $2,000 to $2,200. No rental restrictions. So the entry fee total is $28,000, which includes the seller, arrears, agent commission. Okay. That's 18 plus another 10. There's how you get your cash to seller. All right. There's HOA for 90 a month or 270 a quarter. Easy enough. All right. Let's go ahead and look at this property. So first thing first, I'm going to check the condition of the property. It looks pretty, again, it's 2021 build, so it looks pretty nice. So if you're renting out to an affordable housing family, I think they would feel blessed at least to be in a home like this. Let's see. Nice big backyard. Oh, there's a hot tub. Okay, big backyard for kids. And there is a garage. So that will be something for me to pay attention to, because if there's a garage, sometimes there is a likelihood that we convert the extra bedroom. Now, this is just out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, that's really far north. All right, well, at least that is good to know. Next thing we want to do is we want to grab the county. Let's see what county this is in. This is in Como County. So we're going to get the FMRs, the fair market rents next. So we're going to go to HUD FMR. We're going to pick up the access to small area FMRs, look up FY 2024 FMRs, and we're going to Texas, Como County. There you go. And then we'll get the zip code. Zip code is 78163, 78163. And this is where you'll get the fair market rents, which I also allude to these as the ceiling rents by zip code, by bedroom count. You'll see right here that the 3-bedroom number is going to be 2,110. And then the 4-bedroom is 2530. 2530. 2110. Whoops, 2110. And the reason I'm getting both these numbers is because if I later want to think about how do I creatively get additional rents for this property, well, this is how you decide, because you need to look at the rents for the 4-bedroom and the rents for a 3-bedroom. Just yesterday, I think we looked at a rents for like a 3-bed and a 4-bed, and the rent from a 3-bed to 4-bed was like extra $30. So obviously that's not worth the investment to convert a garage into a bedroom. But in this scenario, you're going up by $420. So let's get the market rents next. Next thing we want to do is go to affordablehousing.com. We'll go to the owner section, market rent estimator, plug in the address, and plug in the bedroom count. The number we want to focus on, the far right here, is the average market rent for, and it says it right here, there's 19 units within a 0.83 mile radius. So let me write that down so my partners can know. And this is 2131. So that's right in line with what we saw earlier. Whoops. Python typing 2131. There we go. 2151, 11912, 2175. All right. That's a 3-bed. And then the 4-bed. I'm gonna get the rents for the 4-bed because I want to see when there's a lift for a 4-bed. It goes up by 2292. So really only up by about $160. So for me right now, I'm very comfortable using 2,110 as my gross rent for a 3-bedroom as is, because if the market rent and the fair market rent is pretty much the same, then I'm going to assume that I can get the full quote unquote ceiling rent for this property. Now, if I was turning to a 4-bedroom, I'm going to use 2292 because there's a test called the rent reasonableness test. And a rent reasonableness test essentially states that that even though you have a rent ceiling, the HUD FMR, that is higher than the market rent, you cannot charge higher rents than what the market determines to be the rent simply because they're a voucher holder. Now, this might differ depending on your local city or your county, but unless you're in like a high expensive area with high cost of living, such as New York, Boston, etc., you might not be able to get above the HUD FMR. And usually your city and your county will always publish these numbers accordingly for you. So just pay attention to that. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to get the crime score. So I usually go to tophap.com, tophap.com. And from there, I'm going to be looking at the crime score. So when I plug in the address right here, 5327 Fairmoon Drive, Bulverde Texas. Oh, doesn't even come up. Let's see. Oh, it's not even coming up. I wonder if it's that new. No, they don't update the maps. Usually these addresses just come right up. 5, 3, 2, 7 Fair. Oh, they don't even have this address on here. That's interesting. That's the first. Well, I'm assuming that this is a decent area because, well, you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But I don't know for sure. But hey, if this is a deal, maybe I'll go to Neighborhood Scout afterwards and try to get an additional crime score for this area if I'm interested. So weird that this didn't come up. We rarely ever have that happen. But hey, this is why we underwrite these deals live. All right, next step is we're going to go and start plugging in these numbers based on what we've seen so far. So mortgage balance, let's kind of plug in these numbers. Probably want to see this on this side so you guys can see the numbers being inputted here. 254. This is a sub-2 loan, 254,085.76. This is a 3.625% interest rate. I'm going to assume this was bought in 2021. So I'm just going to update that date. Don't have to be exact. I'm just gauging to see whether it's worth our time. Then there is a PMI of 175. Okay, so in order to get my PITI, I'm going to take the PIT number that they are 1904.33 equals 1904.33 less the sub-2 principal, less the interest, and that's going to back into roughly what my tax insurance is, give or take $50. So there you go. It kind of makes sense. 441. See, they said the principal was 441. They had the interest as 725. 1158. Okay, it's close enough. The point is that you're just gauging these numbers, right? And then I'm going to add an additional $35 in order to account for more expensive insurance, assuming that this is going to be an investment property instead of a primary residence property. All right. For my renovations, I'm going to just put inside some money to paint the place. I'm assuming because this property is relatively new, there's no termite issues, there's no water heater issues, there's no renovations that's going to be required for the bathroom, the painting for this place. How many square feet this is? This is 1217. So I'm gonna put in 1217. So that gives me enough money at $3,600 to refresh the paint. I'll set aside $500 to clean up the landscaping, but there's no roof issues here. So on all, that gives me a total rehab of $6,100, including some contingencies in case there are any fixes that I cannot recognize. All right. So well, for my monthly rents, as of right now, I'm using $2,110, which is my fair market rents for this property. All right. From that point onwards, let's plug in the numbers that we got from the wholesaler. Wholesaler says that the cash to sell is 10 grand. So we'll put in $10,000. There is $8,000 to the agent plus another $10,000 in assignment. So that's going to be $18,000 right here. And boom, I got my closing costs at 2.5%, just in case there's a TC fee, there is any sort of other title costs, etc. Blah, blah, blah. That gives me a total entry fee of $41,000. And this is going to result in a whopping negative $356, negative 356. And usually most of that expense is driven by a 10% that I'm setting aside for my maintenance and war chest, which essentially says like, hey, eventually the roof, the HVAC, the water heater, something is going to break at this home. And this money does not belong to me because I know for a fact that eventually something needs to get replaced. It's only a matter of time. It's not if, it's when. So I'm setting aside that money because that money doesn't belong to me. And sometimes folks make the mistake of assuming that your cash flow is just your gross rents minus your PITI, but that's never the case. There's always something that goes wrong, even if it's just preventative maintenance task. I'm setting aside 10% for property management right now, and I'm setting aside 5% for vacancy just because it looks like it's in the middle of nowhere. I don't really know that much about a neighborhood, so maybe people don't want to live in the burbs forever. You never know. We'll see what happens. But at negative 356, assuming a $2,110 gross rent, this is definitely not a deal. Now, what might I do just to kind of test around and play around with scenarios? 297, 500, and the rehab is going to be boom right here. Okay. So if I wanted to turn this into a 4-bedroom, I'm going to assume that my new rent is going to be $22.92, not $25.30, but $22.92 because that's what the market charges. So I might even give myself the full $2,300. But in order to achieve the rent of a 4-bedroom property, I would have to convert the garage, which means that I might have to do some framing. I might have to close out the garage door. I might have to put in a mini split or put in some ductworks to make sure that there is air going into the garage. You have to do some framing. So I think it's usually like 10, 15,000, but I usually put in an additional $20,000 just in case. It costs more than expected with like pulling permits, etc. So if I add in an extra $20,000, my rent is now $2,300, right? It makes sense that you have to invest something to get a higher rent in this scenario. Now at $2,300, let me put in a bedroom count here so people can follow the scenario. This is a 3-bedroom and this is assuming a 4-bedroom rent. Now cash flow here, it's going to be negative 214. So unfortunately, even though I'm making a little bit more money, it does not overcome what I'm looking for to achieve the cash and cash return that I'm looking for. So even though I've tested out in a scenario and thought about like, hey, how can I make this a deal? Well, there you go. This is $26,000. It's still not a deal. It's too far from a deal, probably because we're setting aside money for maintenance. The property taxes is really high in this area in Texas. And another consideration that I had is if you do convert the garage, sometimes in Texas, you might get hailstorms. So folks typically like having covered parking for their vehicles. So that could be another reason why they don't stay that long with you, is because they don't really want to deal with insurance claims if a hailstorm comes through and continues to dent their cars, right? So something for you to think about. It's just not always the best case, right? You have to think about from the perspective of the resident. Hey, do they really care about getting an additional bedroom, or do they care more about getting hail size stones dropping on your cars and denting your cars and causing them insurance payments? Just something for you to think about. It's not always the best idea to convert the garage to a bedroom. It just depends on where you are, and that's why local market knowledge is so important. Cool. So this was day 102. I hope all of you continue to analyze deals with me every single day. I think this is one of the best habits for all of us to build as real estate investors. In order for us to buy hundreds and hundreds of deals, guess what? There's probably going to be thousands of deals that we say no to. This is the implied work that no one really talks about when it comes to real estate. I enjoy talking about this because I remember how scared I was when I started, and I didn't know what a deal might even look like. Would you know what a deal looked like if it came across your table and slaps you across the face? I don't know. But you might have a little bit more confidence if you were able to show yourself that, hey, based on my YouTube channel, I've analyzed deals for the past 100 days in a row. So you might actually know what you're talking about, especially if you do it for 18 minutes a day for 365 days a year. You're probably going to be better at underwriting deals than 95% of America. And if you ever have a partner that asks you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? Well, you can go tell them, hey, I think this is a deal because, well, look at my YouTube channel. I've looked at the past 100 deals and they were all not deals. And you can keep it unlisted if you aren't comfortable putting yourself out there. It took me a while to get to this point where I went from deleting social media during COVID in 2020 to coming back on. And now I've been going live every single day for the past 102 days. It's just a habit that you have to form. And now it feels weird, frankly, when I don't work out every day. It feels weird when I don't underwrite a deal live every single day. And these are the habits that will stack up that will make you successful eventually. You might not feel in the beginning, but I really hope it pays dividends for you. So thank you so much for caring about affordable housing. Thank you so much. Without people like you, I would have never had the home I grew up in. Thank you so much for caring. Thank you so much for putting in the work. Let's do this together. And again, this is not a solicitation for any investments. This is not investment advice. I'm simply documenting what I'm doing every day. And if you guys want a copy of the spreadsheet, just DM me your email at investwithkenthe on Instagram, and I'd be happy to send you a spreadsheet. I've been very fortunate, have been given the spreadsheet by other folks, and I've been able to modify it to underwrite the deals that I will like my own way. And I hope this is helpful for all of you. So, hey, have an amazing Wednesday. I hope you all enjoy some quality time with your family and friends, because that's what's most important at the end of the day. All right. Have an awesome day, and I'll be back here again tomorrow.